fight. We got Mike Kurzimba. I suppose the biggest lie the NBA ever told.
What if I were to tell you that we have
Chris
been
Paul to the
lied
Lakers,
to
bro?
for the last 10 years? Because when it
Would
comes
have had
to
a big
NBA
three: Kobe,
conspiracies
Chris Paul, and
what
Powell.
ifs, one has always bothered me more than any other. I've taken a deep dive into several theories, ranging from what if the 1985 draft was rigged, to what if Michael Jordan is Jimmy Butler's father. But I have never touched one theory because I simply do not believe it is true. When it comes to Chris Paul, when it comes to the what if the NBA did not veto the Chris Paul trade, I've always thought there was something weird here.
Adam Silver not gonna veto no trade. Hey, Adam Silver right there.
Now, since you vetoed the
Adam, why you look so young?
trade, was it the right thing to do? It's been 2 months now since you vetoed the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade. Was it
That man shaking his ass. Adam Silver said, "That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong." R.I.P. David Stern. He was like, "That's wrong. That's wrong, David. That's wrong."
now since you vetoed the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade? Was it the right thing to do?
Should I answer? I didn't veto anything. There's no superstar that gets traded in this league unless the owner says go ahead with it. Okay, I have no further questions for the witness.
This conspiracy goes that in 2011, after Woj reported that Chris Paul was going to be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, David Stern gave into the pressure of every other NBA owner and vetoed the trade, costing us prime years of Chris Paul and Kobe. Chris Paul has continued to talk about this possibility. However, before he passed away, David Stern called the whole thing a lie. David Stern says that he saved the New Orleans Pelicans from making one of the worst trades of all time, a trade that potentially could have cost them their franchise. So what's up, guys? Mike here, and yes, back in 2011, the city of New Orleans was in danger of losing their NBA franchise. You can
They
go
did.
back to
They lost the Hornets, so they changed it to the Pelicans. Whoop-de-doo!
They were in the process of selling their team, and there were of course some buyers who wanted to move that team to other locations. The seller, George Shinn, would actually say he sold the Hornets for around $50 million less than he could have because he wanted the team to stay in New Orleans. Now, in order for that to happen though, the NBA needed an attractive team to sell. It is here where David Stern claims that the Hornets general manager went behind his back and wildly traded Chris Paul without anyone's permission but his own. Stern told Sports Illustrated, "I didn't do a great job of explaining it at the time. There was a trade that New Orleans GM Dell Demps wanted us to approve, and I said heck no. But he told Rockets GM Daryl Morey and then Lakers GM Mitch Kupchak he had the authority to do it, and he didn't. I said no. We just settled a lockout, and you want me to approve a basketball trade?" Now, Stern's statement about
That's right. They did have to lock out that season though. That's right. He said no trades, bro. We had a lockout. Y'all don't allow to make no trades. When so superstar trade role players, y'all can get traded, but not superstars. We just had a loadout. We just had a lockout. We just had a lockout. No.
To some extent, as this NBA lockout did last from July 1st, 2010 to December 8th, 2011. When was the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade announced? December 8th, 2011. Let's go back to David Stern's own words here, where he said, "Demps had agreed to trade Paul to the Lakers for Kevin Martin and Luis Scola or something. And I said, we can do better than that. And the next trade was to the Clippers for Eric Gordon and Al-Farouq Aminu and what we thought was a really great draft pick, the 10th pick, which turned out to be Austin Rivers. Low-key shots fired. At least those three and someone else, center Chris Kaman. But Dell Demps is a lousy general manager, and none of those players are currently with the team anymore, and he may lose Anthony Davis." Quite a statement from the old commish. But before we continue, guys, I'm very
Dang! Yo, hold on. They lost Anthony Davis anyway. What did he do?
Davis.
And that's not the Why are you trying to guard up for the It was a three-way because Scola didn't play for the Lakers and Kevin Martin didn't play for the Lakers, so it was a three-way trade. Ain't that? You know what I'm saying? Why the commissioner trying to baby them?
Currently with the team.
That don't make any trade they want. That's the freedom.
And he may
They deserve that.
Anthony Davis. Sponsoring today, it is not.
Max.
We down and for hooking us up, and now let's get back into that video. And you may doubt Stern, however, what are we doubting? Because he is holding strong to the fact that he wanted to
Tony L, he got your ass,
However,
bro.
what
With
are
that
we
pass
doubting?
fake.
Because he is holding strong to the fact that he wanted to trade.
Remember, dudes be doing that in a 1v1, bro.
Soon to be Pelicans did get the #1 draft pick, which ended up becoming Anthony Davis, a franchise player to build around. Only David Stern's words, not mine. Lousy general manager Dell Demps somehow watched watched as Anthony Davis made 3 first-team All-NBA appearances in New Orleans while only making the playoffs twice. I also want to point out that if Stern was lying, would he really stand by the players he traded for this much? Eric Gordon, Aminu, and Austin Rivers all had pretty good careers in the NBA, but none of them were the players they were supposed to become. Especially Eric Gordon. He was seen as potentially the second best young shooting guard in the entire NBA behind Dwayne Wade. Sounds unbelievable now, but a third-year Eric Gordon did average 22.4 points per game before he lost a step due to a ton of injuries. However, this is where the conspiracy enters in, as Cavs general manager Dan Gilbert did write David Stern a letter that somehow leaked, saying, "I cannot remember ever seeing a trade where a team got by far the best player in the trade and saved over $40 million in the process. That's simple."
Hey, the Utah Jazz, Rudy Gobert. Whoop-de-doo! Am I right?
To read any more of this letter.
Then after the trade they got for Gobert, they traded him away.
Need to know what exactly was this horrible trade. It was Chris Paul, a young superstar.
Speaking of Gobert, bruh.
Everything we need to know.
Speaking of Gobert, dude gets crossed instantly. What's that word? What's that figurative word for it? Coincidence. What a coincidence. Whoop-de-doo.
Chris Paul, a young superstar with still a Hall of Fame career ahead of him, to the Lakers for Pau Gasol, who still had 2 All-Star years left in him with the Bulls, for Lamar Odom, who
Pau Gasol got traded. Oh, okay.
Out of the
I don't know why you veto this. They were losing an All-Star and get another All-Star.
NBA within 2
I don't
seasons,
get it.
and Luis Scola and Kevin Martin. The real initial reaction from this trade, the NBA community knows that everyone agreed the Lakers had done it again, that they had fleeced the New Orleans Hornets. Nobody believed they were getting equal value for the best young point guard in the league. Watch how happy Blake and DeAndre Jordan are to find out that the Clippers traded for Chris Paul.
Yeah! Are you serious? That'd be Lost City. Oh my gosh. Who did they give up again? We don't care!
Everyone agreed the Lakers duped New Orleans. However,
Is
it was
it real?
just the sheer audacity of the commissioner vetoing a trade like this was fantasy football that made everyone absolutely furious. The thing
He made the NBA fantasy football.
what everyone immediately swept under the rug right away was that the NBA owned New Orleans. I don't even know how you can call this a veto still. If the NBA owns the franchise, is it not them just changing their mind? I mean, again, not the coolest, maybe not the most ethical. We can agree there. And I don't want to be
So they didn't have an owner. The NBA was the owner.
So I'm not going to
So who's the owner of the NBA? The commissioner?
fingers at anyone else in the NBA.
Well, I thought the commissioner was just the commissioner.
People have changed their minds in the past. It's also
Look that
hard
up.
to
Who's
get
the owner of
past
the NBA?
fact that David Stern directly called out Dell Demps and called him a lousy GM, and Dell Demps declined an interview with the LA Times and refused to respond. That's all I'm saying. No implication, but why is he not responding? I do definitely understand the frustration of the players. I mean, the fact that they had to go back to the same team that had just traded them, that's just always messed up. If Demps was not supposed to do this though, and Stern was undoing his actions, well, he's the commissioner of the NBA.
Bro, you gotta wrestle with that
no
shit,
one
bro.
is still questioning the actual trade that took place. People are just questioning whether or not he had the authority to do it. The biggest statement made by an NBA executive at the time was, "We were all told by the league Chris Paul was a tradable player, and now they're saying that Dell doesn't have the authority to make the trade. Now they're saying that Dell is an idiot and he can't do his job." This whole thing. David's drunk on power and he doesn't give a about the players, and he doesn't give a about the hundreds of
about to
hours that teams
fight.
put in to make that deal.
Bro, the
Again,
commissioner and
what
owners
they
are about to
say,
fight
what
at the
I'm hearing
GM.
is a lot of frustration from someone who's not getting what they want, which would be probably someone on the Lakers or the Rockets. They were getting Pau, but yet again, no one in New Orleans was feeling bad that this trade was not happening. Then add in the fact that New Orleans was being sold and that the owners wanted to keep the city in New Orleans. Yes, it was definitely in the NBA's best interest in mind financially to make the franchise as financially attractive as possible, but as we also heard from New Orleans' own owner, it was in his interest to line up a buyer who stayed in New Orleans, and that's what ended up happening. New Orleans kept their basketball franchise, and the very next year, instead of being an 8 seed or something like that, they drafted Anthony Davis, who led their team as a star for almost the rest of the decade. Again, proving that Dell Demps, in David Stern's words, was lousy GM. In my words, yeah, lousy, but with respect. And so while Chris Paul to the Lakers would have been amazing, I am a big Kobe fan. Don't come at me, Lakers fans, please. David Stern wildly calling out Dell Demps with no response, combined with the logical fact that this trade just made a whole lot more sense. I mean, if Eric Gordon doesn't go from averaging over 22 points per game in his third season,
Bro, so you telling me that GM was playing my league on rookie mode, having a CPU help him and a commissioner help him?
and then being kind of a bust from there, well, then this David Stern trade may have actually been looked at as one of the best trades of all time. Instead, though, in a league where I've talked about a lot of conspiracies, this is one where I just do not fully agree. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and
You
turn
let
on
Chris
post
Paul dunk on you?
notifications. And can we get some extra love to offset
His father
the
dunks since
potential
1982,
Laker
bro.
hate here? I can feel it coming. If you're already
He forgot how to
subscribed, thank
dunk.
you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always,
Now he's on the Warriors.
cue that music. If you're still